Hey everybody, I'm John, this is Strategic Investing, and today I hopefully want to introduce many of you to a new company whose stock I think has some major potential in the short term as well as over the long term. Now, this company has a product that has the potential to replace almost every single walk-through metal detector currently being used, and it's already starting to do just that. And this is because this product that they have developed and are now selling is not a metal detector, it's a weapons detector. I want you to think about stadiums, arenas, theaters, as well as courthouses, government buildings. The list goes on and on. All of these places use tons of metal detectors. I'm sure most of you have been to a professional sports game or a concert. You've had to walk through security, you wait in the long line for the metal detector, you have to take everything out of your pockets, then you wait for the guy to tell you you can walk through. You put it all back in, everybody in front of you had to do the same thing, everybody behind you has to do the same thing, and it takes forever. Now, imagine instead if you could just walk right in, you didn't have to take anything out of your pockets, and there were no long security lines because the scanner isn't just looking for metal, it's specifically looking for guns, knives, explosives, and other weapons. Well, that's what this company is doing, and so before I bury the lead any further and get into this company's 700% plus revenue growth, their recent investment deal with Madison Square Garden, and the fact that this company just in the last couple of months has become the only weapons detection system approved by the TSA. Yeah, before I get into all of that, let's talk about who this company is. This company is Xtract One Technologies. So as I said before, this company's flagship product is an AI-powered weapons detection system. They currently have essentially two versions of this product that are tailored to slightly different markets, but at their core, they achieve the same goal. They consist of two pillars that use a variety of sensors backed by artificial intelligence and constant training to identify concealed weapons on anyone walking between the pillars. The key here is the speed and accuracy with which the system can identify weapons and ignore non-threat items like keys, phones, and other items that metal detectors would normally alert on. They call these two different systems the Smart Gateway and the Safe Gateway. Now, here's something to think about. Why would a stadium or arena want a smart gateway rather than the metal detectors they're currently using? Well, here's a few big reasons. First, getting people in the door faster. With current metal detectors, you're getting an average of 500 people per hour in, whereas with the Smart Gateway, you can actually get up to 2,400 people in per hour. To put that into perspective, let's say you're at an MLB stadium that seats around 40,000 people. Everyone's walking through the walk-through metal detectors. It's going to take about 2 hours to get everyone in, even if you have 40 metal detectors. Now, on the other hand, you can get everyone in less than half of that time with only 17 smart gateways. Now, think about what that means. First of all, a much better experience for the fans. Not only do they not have to wait in the long lines, but they don't have to take everything out of their pockets, there's no invasion of privacy, and on top of that, now you only have 17 smart gateways that you need your security staff to cover. As you can see from the chart here, customers often see up to an 80% reduction in operating expenses due to lower staffing costs and much more efficient security operation. Another added bonus is that some customers of Xtract One have even reported that their food and beverage sales have increased as a result of people getting into the venue faster. So with the Smart Gateway, you get better security, higher accuracy, potentially an increase in food and beverage sales, all at a lower cost than your current outdated metal detectors. I don't know about you, but I'd say that's a no-brainer for stadiums, arenas, and other entertainment venues. Now, what about venues other than entertainment venues or sports stadiums or things like that? Because there's actually a lot of places that would really love to have the level of security that a walk-through metal detector provides, but they either can't or won't install them due to the limitations of these metal detectors. Think about places like casinos, hotels, hospitals, or even schools. Additionally, schools and hospitals are venues where people walk in and out with metal all the time. Binders, notebooks, gurneys, stethoscopes, pens, keys, phones, the list goes on and on. All of these things would have to be removed upon entry and cause even longer waits to enter the building. Xtract One's Safe Gateway, on the other hand, is exactly what these places are looking for. A solution that offers them the same or arguably better security than metal detectors, but allows fast and seamless entry without disrupting the daily flow of business. This opens up Xtract One to a whole new market of customers that other companies just don't have access to due to the limitations of their product. Now, before I get into their financials, I do want to mention a few partnerships and achievements Xtract One has made in the last year or so that will be significant growth drivers moving forward. First, Xtract One has partnered with Oakview Group. Oakview Group and their subsidiary OVG360 are involved in the ownership and or management of over 300 properties ranging from stadiums and arenas to professional and college sports teams, as well as theaters, convention centers, and other entertainment venues. This partnership has already led to several contracts for Xtract One and will likely significantly contribute to their future revenue growth. If you want to see a more detailed analysis of this opportunity, you can check out another video that I've linked in the description below. The next partnership that I think is very significant and even more recent is the strategic investment deal they signed with Madison Square Garden Sports. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with their namesake, the famous Madison Square Garden in New York, home of the New York Rangers and the New York Knicks. But this company and its affiliates also own a variety of other iconic properties, including Radio City Music Hall, the Beacon Theater, the Chicago Theater, and they just opened one of the most amazing venues we've ever seen, the Sphere in Las Vegas. And if you guys haven't checked this out, you definitely should. It's absolutely amazing. Madison Square Garden recently invested $10 million into Xtract One and also signed a commercial agreement to deploy the smart gateway across its entire portfolio of properties. Not only will this partnership benefit Xtract One directly from the investment and the product purchases, but it will also benefit them significantly from the exposure gained at these iconic venues, as well as the expertise that MSG, that Madison Square Garden, brings to the table in venue operations, security, and just the contacts that they could open them up to. You know, the ownership with Madison Square Garden, you're talking about some very high up people, very well-known people in the entertainment and sports industry. James Dolan, the contacts that he has, the ability to help Xtract One get their foot in the door in a variety of different venues and different industries, that's just going to definitely pay dividends for them in the future. Finally, the last thing that I want to mention here before we take a look at the financials and the valuation is just a few months ago they became the only weapons detection system to be approved by the TSA. This is important for a couple of reasons. The most obvious being the potential sales opportunity with the TSA, which, as many of you guys know, includes airports, but also railroads, buses, major ports, and a variety of other mass transit systems across the US. Arguably, though, this isn't the biggest advantage of this TSA approval. In my opinion, the most bullish aspect of this approval is the product validation. This is essentially the most rigorous testing and analysis process any security screening product can go through. And now Xtract One can go to any school, government building, arena, or other customer and say, look, we're the only weapons detection system, aside from the old, outdated walk-through metal detectors, that's been approved by the TSA. The only one that's actually looking for weapons. That's going to be something that none of their competitors will be able to say, and it will likely significantly boost sales moving forward. Okay, so we've looked at everything. We've got a great product, some great partnerships. We have product validation from third parties. Now, let's take a look at how this translates to the financials. For context here, Xtract One is a relatively new company. They only really just started marketing and selling the Smart Gateway in early 2021. They currently break out their financials into two segments, Platform and Xtract. Xtract segment being the AI analytics company that I haven't really talked about and is something that was added when the original company, which was called Patriot One Technologies, acquired Xtract AI back in 2019. The platform segment is the main business line, including the smart and safe gateways, as well as other threat detection solutions currently under development. So to make the long story short, I'm mainly going to cover the platform segment here because that's currently the main focus of the business and it's showing very strong growth. So let's get into that here. As I mentioned, we've seen some phenomenal growth in the business over the last year or so. If we look at platform revenue, we can see that in the last 5 quarters, we've seen platform revenue go from about $85,000 to over $800,000. Keep in mind here that the fiscal year does not line up with the calendar year, so Q2 of 2022 here is actually from February to April of 2022. And we're going to get the Q4 results here for 2023 very soon because their fiscal year starts in August and ends in July. I just thought I'd mention that in case there's any confusion with how I'm analyzing these financials. Now, another important thing to note here is that while revenue has shown significant growth, it's even more impressive that the expenses have actually declined at the same time. You can see here that we have revenue in blue and expenses in red, and there's a clear trend in each case with revenue increasing and expenses declining. This is extremely impressive, especially for a young company like Xtract One that is working towards profitability. And speaking of profitability, there's one more chart that I do want to show you. This is the backlog for Xtract One, including deals that are pending installation. So an important thing to note here is that Xtract One sells their products a few different ways, but mainly through their upfront sales or subscription model. The upfront deals are fairly simple. The customer purchases the system and the software upfront. Then they pay a recurring support fee for any maintenance, support, or updates they need later on. The subscription model, on the other hand, usually involves the customer paying a monthly subscription to use the hardware, software, and any support that they need. These subscriptions can vary, but generally last around 3 years with an auto-renew at the end. Xtract One does not recognize any revenue until the systems are installed and the first payment is collected. This is important because while the current installed backlog is about $3.1 million and last quarter's revenue was just over $800,000, there's actually another $7.9 million in signed agreements pending installation. This means that we're likely going to see a lot of that money shift into backlog and revenue very soon. On top of that, the company has also said in their last earnings report that they had a current sales pipeline of another $86 million in contract value from prospective customers. All of this means that sales will likely continue to grow rapidly in the coming quarters, pushing the company towards profitability. As we get through the financials, though, we do, however, come to one major risk factor, and this is the company's cash position. As of their last report, Xtract One only had about $8.5 million in cash, and at their current cash burn rate, that's likely going to only sustain them for around 3 quarters or so. This is very likely a major contributor as to why the stock isn't up 2 or 3 times from where it is now. With that said, though, there's a few reasons that I think this isn't as big of a negative as many investors might think. First, as we discussed, revenue and backlog are growing extremely fast. The more revenue they bring in, the less cash they will actually have to spend, especially because they've been managing their expenses so well. This means the cash burn will continue to slow as they move toward profitability, allowing them to likely stretch that cash position longer than we might think. Second, and most important, realistically, the worst case scenario is that they have to raise cash and offer more shares. And to be honest, this move really probably wouldn't be that bad at all for Xtract One shareholders, because with minimal dilution, they could actually raise enough cash to likely give them several more quarters and allow them to accelerate their growth. A more secure cash position and faster growth could create even more value for the company and for shareholders and would likely lead to an influx of new investors, especially with the threat of future dilution now far less likely. On top of this, the CEO Peter Evans recently said in a couple of interviews that he does not actually expect to have to raise any capital in the near term. Overall, my point is that their cash position, while far from ideal, is really not as big of a risk as I think investors may think. One last thing that I do want to touch on before I wrap this up is, of course, the competition. As with any stock that we're looking at, it's important to understand how the company compares to its competition. I will say that this part of the analysis is definitely a positive one for Xtract One. In this case, I can speak from research that I've done as well as personal experience with the system. I've had the opportunity to actually personally test both Xtract One and one of their main competitors, Evolve Technology. If you want my full analysis of that comparison, I'll link that video in the description as well. There's a lot to cover here, but I'll give you kind of the short version. First, Xtract One seems to have the most accurate detection with the widest spectrum of weapons, with one of the lowest, if not the lowest, false positive rate. While most of the other weapons detection systems on the market seem to focus on mass casualty weapons like rifles, IEDs, pistols, and other things like that, Xtract One's smart gateway has the ability to detect extremely small guns and even pocket knives. Knives are actually a really big differentiator here that their competitors admittedly have trouble with. Evolve especially has a history with this that has led to some unfortunate events. They even went as far to attempt to redact large parts of a third-party evaluation of their product in an effort to hide vulnerabilities in their system. And on top of that, it looks like just recently now they are being looked into by the FTC for false marketing claims. On top of this, Xtract One has very openly taken a customer-first approach, with many features of the Smart Gateway coming directly from discussion with security professionals from the major sports leagues and other venue operators. While many of their competitors have developed a solution and then tried to sell it, Xtract One has taken a different approach of collaborating with customers to develop a solution that they actually wanted. I could go on and on about this, but my general impression from my research and personal experience is that Xtract One currently has the best solution for their target market. And I think that about sums up the major points of my bullish thesis for Xtract One Technologies. It's a young company with a compelling product and accelerating revenue growth. Let me know what you guys think of this stock and if you've seen the smart gateways or other similar technologies at a stadium, arena, or school near you. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos about Xtract One and other stocks that I follow, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I will see you guys next time and have a great day.